Hi, my name is Sandra Pierce, and I'm the Children's Librarian for the Bay County Public Libraries. This is my favorite time of year, when we find out who won the Newbery Medal. The Newbery Medal has been given out since 1922 for the book that's best written in the previous year for American writers. This year, drum roll please, Flora and Ulysses won The Illuminated Adventures by Kate DiCamillo. Now, you might remember Kate's work from previous years. Back in 2001, she wrote a book called Because of Winn-Dixie, which actually won a Newbery honor. In 2004, she wrote The Tale of Despero, which won the Newbery Medal. So she's quite a distinguished writer. Now, this year, let me tell you a little bit about the book that won, Flora and Ulysses. Flora is a 10-year-old cynic, which means that she thinks people do things for selfish reasons only. She loves comic books. In fact, her favorite comic book is called The Illuminated Adventures of the Amazing Incandesto. And it has a companion book that she reads all the time that's called Terrible Things Can Happen. And one of her favorite quotes in that is, "Do not hope, instead observe." So she was quite good at observing. Well, her neighbors next door, her neighbor had bought his wife a vacuum cleaner. And it was a super duper vacuum cleaner. In fact, it was called the Ulysses Super Suction Multi-Terrain 2000X. In fact, multi-terrain means that he could take it outside even. And so he told his wife that day, take it outside and take it for a ride. And she did. And it sucked up everything in its sight. In fact, it sucked up a baby squirrel. Well, when Flora saw that squirrel from her bedroom window, she ran downstairs and she decided that she would resuscitate it. She pulled it out, recovered it, and decided to give it CPR. She gave him a couple of breaths, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, until she brought it back. Well, when he came back, he was just not any squirrel. This squirrel had superpowers. He was stronger, he could fly, and then later on she'd find out he could even write poetry. Well, she took him home and smuggled him up past her mother, the romance writer, into her bedroom. That night, he went downstairs to Squirrel, which she named Ulysses, and started to type on the typewriter. He was soon discovered by Flora's mother, who did not like him being in the house. These things are nasty, and he can't stay here. Well, Flora was determined to save her baby squirrel. The next day, her dad came over to take her for a weekend visit. The mother told him, "You must take this thing and get rid of it." She gave him a bag and a shovel and told him, "You know what to do." Well, Flora knew that there were villains in all stories, but she didn't know that her mother would turn out to be a villain. Flora had to figure out a way to save this squirrel. What would she do? In order to find out what happens in Flora and Ulysses, The Illuminated Adventures, you have to read the book by Kate DiCamillo. I'd like to add, too, that the illustrations are quite wonderful in this book done by K.G. Campbell. The illustrations start out with cartoon strips, comic strips, and it ends up with regular illustrations. So it's a wonderful book to read. So check it out from one of our local libraries.